as #1 in the group.
I'm going to stick with my prediction. He still goes mech. I know it's a bad map. I know it is a bad map. And as soon as I saw Daybreak, I was like, that's not very nice. But I'm gonna hold to my guns here, and we shall see a SuperNova and VortiX load up onto map number 2. Guys, let's get it on.
In the top right corner. If you didn't know about him before today, you're certainly a fan now. From Team K3, it's going to be VortiX.
And spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner, our blue Terran. Hopefully, he's able to somehow go for mech on Daybreak. I don't know why he would. But ladies and gentlemen, give it up for MTW SuperNova.
You know, I feel like as a caster, part of your job duties are to list off the likely and even the unlikely possibilities of the opponents to help just give a sense of what VortiX could be worried about. You know, maybe he can go for some Hellion Banshee play. There's a couple of expand 4 racks plays that he'll need to be worried about, etc. And occasionally, when you make one of those predictions and it's true, it feels good. Again, it's not part of your job to be right. It's part of your job to list the possibilities to help just build the story of what the match could be and where it's going. But sometimes you say things like, he's going to go mech, and you don't even know the map, and may God be with you, Kelaris.
I know you were trying to save me there initially, and then, throw me under the bus.
I hope he goes mech. Yeah. No, I hope he does.
Well, we'll see. We shall see. As it looked like he's going to go for a command center first, which does normally lead into SuperNova's mech play. But again, there could be all sorts of possibilities here. It is Daybreak once again. It's something that SuperNova is very, very comfortable in doing, as is VortiX going for his expansion at the same time. And dude, I don't even care if I've thrown myself under the bus. This is the potentially last series of the day, so I'm having a fun time.
Well, here's VortiX going down right now. SuperNova will be just trying to whack away at this one SCV. Because we've seen no gas geyser, barracks number 2 is almost certainly on the way, but hey. Oh! VortiX, the bad boy. It looks like SuperNova is actually going to be going for a single refinery. So, Hellion play, triple command center is pretty much what SuperNova is saying to us right now. VortiX hasn't done anything except make drones expand and do all things that Zerg players would normally do.
Yeah, and outside from that, again, VortiX with that one map advantage, he could potentially actually take a few risks here if he wanted to. And VortiX is one of those players that does like to mix it up, but again, he falls on such a strong macro play. I would personally rather see him just stick with that macro, just go into that longer game. And again, he does prefer normally that Ling Infester into Ultra play, which played so well for him in game number 1.
I actually would love to see any long-term play, especially Mutalisk-based play, out of VortiX, given the structure of this map. I mean, Infester, Ling, Ultra, absolutely a common standard play on this map, but the Mutalisk can also work out quite well, given the fact that if a Terran is trying to extend an attack past this tower, whether he's going up or whether he's going down, he's leaving a lot of bases on the backside that are very weak to counterattacks. SuperNova is going for that Hellion play. We haven't seen any extra gas yet, so again, it's really looking a lot like he wants a third command center.
Yeah, that would be very useful, and the SCV sent out to that location to be able to throw that down. Nicely done here by SuperNova, just pushing himself forwards into that macro game here. And for now, another SCV does get picked off, doesn't spot any kind of third right now. And as such, VortiX just droning up like a madman. 9, 10 drones on the way this early? Oh my god.
He's droning like a psychopath. He's addicted to gas.
He is, man. He is. As those double gases actually go down for VortiX to be able to give himself a little bit of extra gas there. And aside from that, we have the Starport on the way as well with that Tech Lab. So this is what we normally see from SuperNova, that Hellion and then Banshee poke forwards. Normally he will conjoin those two together to be able to go for a full frontal assault with the Hellions and the Banshees in the same location. And, that third command center going to be on the way and done in just a second.
Now, in defense of Kelaris, I will note that this opening with the double Hellion Banshee play, this can lead both into Marine Medevac tank, kind of standard bio play, as well as mech. However, whether it's mech or whether it's that bio, the important thing is the consistent themes that a Terran player wants to be doing upgrades behind this. The Banshee Hellion play is extremely effective at preventing creep spread, keeping a player on the defensive, and with all that time bought, the best way to spend that time is on them ups.
Now, if he ends up getting 3 Banshees or something like that, then I almost... this is going to be so much fun. I'm throwing myself under the bus so much during this cast. But I really do think that he will end up continuing with that mech. He actually incorporates Banshees a lot into mech play as well, just to be able to really, really power out that DPS. For now, VortiX does have those 2 evolution chambers to be able to just seal the gap there at the natural. And the third on the rise here for VortiX. Not really going to be able to put on too much pressure, but Hellion's looking to go for that push.
Some nice basic building placement by VortiX, totally flubs, and he lets 3 of those Hellions up there, and look at that, VortiX instantly target firing the weakened Hellion. VortiX rides out to meet the Hellions. He hasn't really lost that many drones at this point in time. There's a couple that get roasted, but look at this, Kalaris. VortiX is managing to avoid the worst of it. Wow, he only lost 8 workers, and there were 4 Hellions killed off. Suddenly now, if you're SuperNova, you've lost all your map control.
Hey, look, an armory going down.
No way. Did you really call mech before? Oh, my God.
As for now, he is going for a Spire.
No.
And we have those 5 drones on the way here for VortiX to be able to continue powering out them drones.
Here we see a single Banshee trying to do a little bit of harassment. I don't believe it. It's actually a mech play from SuperNova.
So much fun. Hey, Zergling's not going to be able to get into this base just yet. SuperNova here. Being able to deal with that.
A couple of Hellions at that backside, getting in the way of things. And Kalaris, ladies and gentlemen, before Game 2 even began, before Game 2 was even announced on the map, Kalaris called mech from SuperNova, and I present to you, mech. Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. No problem.
Thank you very much.
I mean, it's actually a good call, given the fact that SuperNova is falling into these patterns that are recognizable as series-wide trends, that he likes to open bio, go into mech. VortiX, though, is the sort of player who just likes to trust his own play, to focus on his defense. He's having quite a bit of issues.
The thing that scares me for SuperNova, though, here in this game, he's actually going to be able to try and get a few Zergling kills here, but not actually going to be able to get them. He's actually, wow, he's got 21-2 workers. That's pretty insane. But if I am able to predict SuperNova here, I'm pretty sure VortiX is able to predict SuperNova here. But he's going for the Mutalisks as well as the Zerglings. So if he gets good surface area on mech at some point, it's going to work out really, really well for him. But again, if SuperNova gains speed, gains that third very, very quickly here off the back of a lot of Hellions to gain that map control, then it could get really, really dicey for VortiX.
There's SuperNova losing 1 Banshee. Second Queens, second Overseer up in the main base, and they are going to run right into another Banshee. Quite a lucky rally there for VortiX, but SuperNova plants down the cloak. VortiX abandons ship, and this is going to be such a pleasing moment for VortiX to get there and to go, oh my gosh, no third, what a relief.
Now, SuperNova is doing exactly the same he normally does with mech. He normally goes Thor, Hellion, and then eventually transitions into siege tanks. Now, missile turrets actually getting good coverage. Will be able to fend those Mutalisks off from actually killing that add-on here. And he already is trying to clean up the Zerglings with 2 Banshees up to the north, so he can establish his third. And the blue flame is on the way, and he continues to add on Banshees like we mentioned before.
I will say that VortiX is doing kind of an interesting decision, getting that Baneling nest up. Counterintuitively, Banelings are not that bad of an option versus mech. Banelings have 30 life, but they don't have any armor type. So that means nothing does a bonus damage to a Baneling. So that does mean that things like Banelings can deal very well with Thor clusters or with clusters of Hellions even. But oh, Hellions are running up to that mineral patch again, and there's nothing there for VortiX to defend it.
Not at all. 30 workers killed, 32 now as the Zerglings come in to try and clean things up. A 33rd ends up dying off here for SuperNova. And VortiX looking still a little bit on the back foot. He's got 60 drones right now to the 71 SCVs, and with SuperNova establishing this third base, and he's up in terms of supply by 20, when this mech rolls out, it's going to hit so fiercely.
Mutalisk trying to step out, trying to do some kind of pressure back. There are 3 Thors here, and this is going to be a world of pain for VortiX to run right into. Boom, see you later, one Mutalisk. Little muta bits all over the ground. With this 4th base coming up, ooh, I'm liking this. Baneling speed up as well. How does VortiX engage with just layer tech against a 3-basing mecher?
I must admit, I mean, despite actually knowing SuperNova's style very, very well, I actually don't know how VortiX normally would deal with some kind of mech build. So it's going to be very interesting to see how he's going to go up against it. These Hellions.
Triple Hellion again, just waltzing right on in, and they have the blue flame upgrade, so immediately VortiX is in a bunch of trouble, has lost so many more drones. He's going to lose about 10 in this.
SuperNova is looking to tie up the series so strongly here, as now he starts that tank production along with those Hellions and Thors already in a very, very high number here. 5 Thors alone are just so brutal to deal with sometimes, unless you end up getting really, really good coverage with, you know, Roaches and Zerglings, but most of the time against mech, you never really get the opportunity to do so. But look at this, he's actually going to go for a push.
Is he just going to try to target fire this front orbital command? We see that the Banelings are rolling right up. Instantly, that front Thor eats most of the damage, and VortiX is up against point defense drones. Lots of tanks. Zergling's starting to roll in. It's not looking that good for VortiX, but he's starting to do some nice retarget firing. The Zergling's rolling in, and somehow VortiX manages to discover a nice timing that leaves SuperNova feeling a little bit weak, but still manages to deal with it thanks to those Banshees just raining down pain from above. I mean, VortiX is going to have to replenish mutas. He needs something to take down those Banshees.
Yeah, these 6 Banshees are so difficult to deal with when you go for that kind of frontal push. It's almost always, unless you end up going for some really weird, like, extra corruptors in that push, it's almost like just guaranteed damage there and then. There's not really a whole lot Zerg can do about it when they're going to go for the push, so that makes the 3rd super, super safe off the back of this mech as well. So SuperNova for now, just kind of replenishing his siege tanks. Interestingly enough, actually not replenishing his Thor count just yet, and that could come back to bite him if he actually ends up. Actually, no, I don't think we're going to see really too much for VortiX to actually fight him without those Thors. So with a nice siege tank count, it'll be okay.
With a pair of Blue Flame Hellions at 2-2. Those drones are 2-shottable. So VortiX is yet again losing a lot of workers to this harassment. Hive now incoming.
Yep, Infestation Pit already down. That pathogen gland is going to be researched here, so VortiX going to try and go back into his true tried and tested build of Infestors. And I mean, how well do Ultralisks really work against mech and something like that?
They work well, but only if you're doing a lot of counter-attacking. That's what makes it quite strong. The fact that the Ultras can swing around, and then a whole bunch of unsieged tanks and Thors have to get their ass back there as quick as possible before too much dies. Raven in production for SuperNova, yeah, that's fine. It's not really going to be the big wowie-zowie part. The 3-3 maxed army is really going to be the deal breaker for the Zerg.
And for now, the Roaches going to be able to pick off one of the Hellions there. 5th base going to be going down to the bottom right-hand corner here for VortiX. And those Infestors are on the way. Now, of course, he does already have that Spire out because of what we saw earlier on. So he could quite easily go into Broodlords to be able to deal with this mech as well. The only problem is that sometimes you end up seeing SuperNova add on a lot of Vikings off the back of this in just a little bit. And he's actually replenishing the Thors. And if he, what are his upgrades sitting at the moment, actually? I would love to know. 2-2.
SuperNova's sitting, chilling at 2-2. VortiX is trying to find some way to trap all these Hellions. Oh, no! He brought them a gift.
Oh, and meanwhile, we actually have so many Banshees in the main as well, ripping apart the spawning pool. But the Fungal's actually landing on a lot of these Banshees as well. He's trying to kill off what he can, but he's losing so many valuable Infestors in the process. 3 Banshees do end up dying, though, and 2 more left here to continue the pain.
Oh, where's the extra Fungal? SuperNova dealing massive damage. VortiX says screw it and tries to just rally forth, but with any number of siege tanks against Roaches, it will never be looking very good for the Roaches at all.
Yeah, these two Banshees still trying to put on some aggression here in the main. And one of them does end up dying off onto one of those queens, thanks to the fact that the Overseer is present. And Mutalisk transition actually here for VortiX. So he is, I mean, how much anti-air does he really have? Just the 3/4s?
Yeah, he has
and that's it.
3/4s. And
PDD, I guess.
oh my god, well there's 17 more roaches in production. These tanks are not sieged. Oh, SuperNova. What on earth? SuperNova makes an incredible blunder, advancing forward without any of his stuff sieged. SuperNova, I can't believe made that big of an error. Tanks unsieged on creep, only 3 Thors. VortiX making a huge shove back, point defense thrown down. This pair of siege tanks is actually going to be a pretty significant impediment thanks to that one planetary fortress there to back it up. And with these other siege tanks at the top, VortiX is thwarted, but I mean, 4 siege tanks completely shut down that roach counterattack. But over 12 siege tanks died because they weren't sieged up in mid, and that is a real blessing for VortiX. After all the damage SuperNova's been doing, he just threw away a lot.
Yeah, a really lovely push in there by VortiX to be able just to exploit the weaknesses that he finds in his opponent. Right now, though, SuperNova is replenishing those Thors, and I would love to see him get 3/3, because Javelin missiles with 3/3 are actually pretty good against Broodlords if you're able to get the surface area with them, as long as you've got that Hellion backing to be able to rip apart those Broodlings. So for now, SuperNova trying to find a little bit of an area to be able to put on some aggression again with these Hellions, but look at this. He's killed 65 workers across this entire game, and they're both still sitting at 72 drones to 72 SCVs.
A little bit of a lack of expansion scouting from VortiX. You can tell he's feeling quite a bit flustered. He's not playing as clear-headedly. This is just an awkward position to be in as VortiX when you're up against a meching player on the map Daybreak. Super uncommon, very, very solid once you get to this 4-5 base moment. 10 mules on the map right now. SuperNova needs to sack some SCVs so we can actually get a stronger army.
Look at that income tab. Jeez, he's at 3k minerals a minute to the 1,300 a minute here of VortiX. So if you ever wanted to fuel mech, this is certainly the way to do it here on Daybreak. As for now, we have the Ultralisk Cavern on the way, 3/3, as well as those adrenal glands to just go back into what VortiX is so comfortable with. But against mech, it might get a little bit dicey.
Now, I will note, I just got an awesome result. Hasuobs versus MC. Hasu manages to win 2-1, which means that whoever wins this series is first place in the group.
Wait, what? Did you? Hasu won 2-1 versus MC?
Yep, Hasuobs has some of the prettiest PvP in the known universe, and all it takes is being pretty to beat the best Protoss in the world.
He is a pretty guy, I must admit. That Hasu, a handsome fellow. No bias whatsoever. As for now, we will have VortiX just continuing to re-evaluate and re-establish this army here. He's adding on a few more Ultralisks, in turn getting that chitinous plating down to be able to really make them super cost effective. But again, the armor is nowhere near not as normally as useful against, say for example, if your opponent was going for bio, because of the way in which damage is dealt by mech.
Yeah, it's kind of unclear who has an edge at this point in time. SuperNova, starting to fly that one over the top. VortiX going to get himself a free medevac. Just has to be careful not to let them unload up on this high ground, which he will. Yeah. Blue Flame Hellions immediately unload. They will get themselves a couple of free kills on those good old drones, Ultra Pops.
Gets himself some nice intel there. Actually, did he already know that there was the Ultralisk Cavern going down? Where is the Ultralisk Cavern, actually?
I would imagine the Ultralisk Cavern is by the 3rd base, but, you know, imagining doesn't help much. It's at the 2nd base.
Yeah.
Almost always VortiX is putting his structures in the middle of where his 3 bases are going to be, so that way it's difficult to drop and pick one off.
He's built 140 workers over the course of this game. That is insanity. As for now, VortiX is going to be maxed out, as is SuperNova. This game could still go on for much time here, as SuperNova, I don't think anybody's going to really budge at this point on these 5 bays.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult to justify moving for either player.
Yeah.
I mean, the real question is, can one of these players take one of either the south or the north position? If you can secure both the south and the north, maybe not at the same time, but just over the course of the game, that is going to be the big key. But I mean, if SuperNova keeps getting in here and VortiX keeps letting this happen, then VortiX is going to be, again, building over 150 drones this game instead of just over 140.
Yeah, and this is just what the SuperNova is just going to do all game long from this point on, unless he wants to go for some massive frontal death push. He's just going to keep dropping those Hellions here, there, everywhere, killing off drones, and eventually trying to starve out his opponent to the point where his opponent just wants to walk into that mech force. And look at this, 3-3 Thors, 10 of them waddling around the map in synchronization there, and they are just so devastating in terms of DPS.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Looks like VortiX has decided that now's the time. He instantly mind controls some of those Thors, turns around and tries to take out the Raven. A nice little move, and does successfully get one. But, I mean, SuperNova having these 3-3 Thors just picks off the Ultras in rapid succession.
Yeah, you just can't push into mech. It just... when it's found this kind of speed, when it's found this kind of, momentum, it's so difficult to be able to break that position. And now with SuperNova adding on Ravens even here and getting those air weapons upgrades, he knows that potential Broodlords could always come in. A nice surround there, though, by VortiX.
VortiX, he's not giving up yet. He's going to continue to drill in. Looks like all the Vikings have landed, but there are 7 Ultralisks in production. I think VortiX might find this to be his opportunity. He's just going to be going Ling Ultra. He's got to be very, very careful that he doesn't overcommit to ground, because then those Vikings are going to go on a killing spree on Overlords all around the map.
I'm a little worried for SuperNova, actually. All he has out on the field to be able to deal with VortiX right now, if he doesn't end up going for Broodlords, is 5 Hellions and 9 tanks, with the support of those Ravens. And he will push in once again. Those Ultralisks tanking a lot of damage as he goes forwards here. Even Corrupt is coming along to, try and soak up some damage from the
Wow, the Zerglings are doing a great job getting in there. The tank's falling rapidly, and VortiX has managed to find a crack in the armor. He's heading up to this north base, but he still needs a lot more firepower to be able to take down a planetary fortress. The Vikings land. Oh, VortiX is going to sack a lot of units for nothing here. Oh, he's getting close to taking it down, and he's unable to do so.
SuperNova with a fantastic repair there and a fantastic reinforce, able to save that base. And he's throwing down even more. Look at how much money SuperNova has banked up here. He's adding on so many tanks, even getting Hunter-Seeker missiles as well as that Corvid reactor for those Ravens. And once again, VortiX trying to make something happen, but SuperNova is 40 supply up on his opponent right now, getting good coverage on those tanks once again with those Zerglings, but look at how quickly that Zerg force melts. GG.
And there's the GG. SuperNova evens up the series. Kind of a funky game.
Yep. I'm not going to make any predictions for Game 3. I've had my time. It was monumental, and I'll leave it there. I've retired. Thank you.
Well, either way, it doesn't change the fact that whoever wins this series advances as the winner of the group. There is no longer a possibility of tiebreakers. Though Hasuabs did get eliminated in this Group D, he went out with a really nice victory against MC. So that will put MC at 3-2 in the group. But man, VortiX not really able to deal with this constant, incessant Hellion harass that was killing frickin' everything that he threw at him.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult to deal with. And actually, now that I look at the results here, now that SuperNova has taken a map, does that mean that he is guaranteed first, or is that not the case?
It's whoever wins this series will be first in the group.
Right, okay, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, because what we were looking at is, even if VortiX does win this series, SuperNova overall will have better statistics on maps.
Okay.
VortiX will have lost way more games overall, but still, that's accounted for second. First, it's just score, and then head-to-head score, and then after that, it's maps.
Okay. VortiX asks if he wins, he's first. He says whoever wins first place here. So informing these players of the very, very important factor in this, because again, you were able to advance past that first stage of the bracket tomorrow if you are first, which an extra win, that means extra money, that means extra potential of being able to move on through to those semis and final. Very, very nice.
And I almost feel like the biggest advantage of all is knowing that you get to start a little later in the day with a little more rest. You don't have to have that strain of going through a best-of-5, having to put your everything on the line in just a round of 16 match, and then go, okay, now I got to do it again in the quarterfinals, and again in the semifinals, and again in the finals. It's going to be an endurance contest over the next few days.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump right in.